Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And I want to host an XRP meetup soon, but I've been thinking, what place should it be? So comment down below what part of the world you're watching this video from, and I would personally like it to be in Dubai because that's where I'm at, but I'm not sure if that's feasible for most people. So just let me know down below where you'd like this XRP meetup to be, and I might get that going. That could be something really cool. Having said that, just in, RippleNet listed as direct alternative to SWIFT by the Arab Monetary Fund Group. So of course this news comes from some very trusted sources. Wrath of Kahneman shared this over on Twitter. Arab Regional FinTech Group report. Central Bank Digital Currencies, a practical guide for Arab central banks, mentions Ripple as an alternative system in two places. It says here a practical guide for Arab central banks, payment modernization alternatives to CBDCs. There have been a number of efforts aiming at payment modernization without reliance on CBDC. Many of these are incremental advances suggested by incumbent players such as SWIFT. Table number 1 describes some of the attempts. So, as alternatives, one of the types is improvements to messaging protocols but continued reliance on correspondent banking for settlement. Payment service providers can use their bank deposits in the receiving country to advance funds to the recipients. And some examples are Swift, GPI, TransferWise, Remitly, Revolut, and RippleNet. And then we also have cryptocurrencies on public distributed ledger technology. Value fluctuates and is not pegged to a fiat currency, the safest. Generally, crypto have been used more as a speculative store of value rather than a method of payment. But one of the first crypto designed primarily for payments was Ripple's XRP, which is pretty juicy. So that is definitely nice, as this is a rule book for central banks. And just quickly as a little addition, there was also the light shines in the darkness, what a name. AMF getting ready for RippleNet integration, Saudi Arabia Central Bank, and it's just kind of a continuation of it all. He actually shared this about 2 years ago. Arab Monetary Fund using RippleNet for financial inclusions. Buna is to support Arab banking using blockchain, new business models using Ripple technology. And so it's all kind of coming together in a positive way that these different entities, I should call it, are basically pretty excited, or how could we better describe it? They are thinking of Ripple as an option in these systems. And then again, remember, it is not as if XRP is excluded from these theories, as we've just seen in this specific little post right here. There we go. At the bottom, you can see crypto on public DOT is an option / alternative as well. And they specifically mention XRP. All right, then before we move on, there's a couple of things I have to say. 1, be careful with scams. The only socials I have are always going to be linked down below in my YouTube videos. I have a Facebook too, but I don't really use it, so I'm not even sure what the name on there would be, to be honest with you. On Instagram and Twitter, it is TheDustyBC, right? Just only TheDustyBC. That's the only ones I have. All the other ones that might follow you are fake. And on TikTok, the only one I have is DustyBC. I'll be doing a lot of TikTok videos soon and more reels over on Instagram if you guys are excited about that. So just make sure you follow me over on those. And Twitter, you guys most likely already know, as we also have about 60 or 52,000 followers on there. All right, so let us move on. I was kind of talking about the US dollar / some regulations earlier, but this was actually rather interesting. US legislators grill SEC chair on overburdensome crypto reporting requirements in a new letter. Let us continue. More than half a dozen United States congressmen are defending blockchain developers in the face of new government regulatory pressure. In a letter to US SEC head Gary Gensler, Representative Tom Emmer leads a bipartisan group in saying the agency's burdensome information requests risk stifling domestic technological innovation in the cryptocurrency realm. Says Emmer of the letter's intent, crypto startups must not be weighed down by extra jurisdictional and burdensome reporting requirements. The SEC must ensure that this information seeking requests to private crypto and blockchain firms are not overburdensome, unnecessary, and do not stifle innovation. Because at the end of the day, what they're kind of doing is they're making it impossible for them to actually thrive and go on. Because again, I see it like this. If you're requesting from a company way more data than they could logically provide to you, you're just kind of asking them to kind of make themselves fail. It just makes absolutely no sense. Now, while the SEC has authority to obtain information from market participants for rulemaking purposes, it must ensure that these inquiries didn't infringe on the standards established in the Paperwork Reduction Act, which limits its burden the government imposes on private businesses and citizens. So, in that same little ballpark, apparently US Senator Elizabeth Warren has just introduced a specific bill that could ban exchanges from working with Russian wallets. And there was actually very big controversy about this over on Twitter, as some sources, let's put it like that, were saying that Binance made a deal with some specific names that shall not be mentioned, some side, so to speak. But long story short, this US Senator Elizabeth Warren is apparently introducing a new bill enabling the Treasury Department to ban exchanges from facilitating transactions for those specific crypto wallets. The bill would, however, and this is where the key comes in, also require President Joe Biden administrations to identify foreign digital asset actors that are facilitating evasions of sanctions. But the administration would be authorized to sanction crypto holders who are evading sanctions, according to one pager from Warren's office. What they're basically going to do is really look deeply into every single pocket of yours. And again, we already talked about this before, where Ethereum / JP Morgan / MetaMask, the connections are there, where they're going to be looking at IP to kind of block some regions, for example, and things of that nature. The fact that this is already continuing on and that the rules are going to be deeper and deeper on this is sometimes kind of scary. That if they don't like you, in the crypto space even, they could just block you. Then again, we have seen by a couple of exchange founders, I would say most, that they're not really ready to ban users unless it is required by law. Here is, for example, Jesse Powell, the CEO of Kraken, and he already said, we're not really going to, sorry for Ukraine people, we're not going to ban everybody in Russia, for example, just purely because that would be a good thing. The requirement could come from your own government, as we have seen in Canada, in response to protests, banks runs, and attempt to flee the country. It could come from foreign states like the US as a weapon to turn Russia. For what it's worth, I would guess that the vast majority of crypto holders on Kraken are anti-WAR. Bitcoin is the embodiment of libertarian values which strongly favor individualism and human rights. In Canada, crypto was the only financial rail left for those who opposed the regime. I kind of want to stay a little bit away from talking too deeply about these issues, but I would also say it is not the crypto exchange's job to make people not interact with it anymore. I would say it lies a layer deeper with the real fiat transactions for things or everything else, I would say. But a crypto exchange, indeed, it is the whole idea to fully transact anything, basically. And I kind of feel as if it just doesn't work properly if you're going to allow some people or disallow some people, specifically if some of them did not do anything. It's just because you're a certain person, you're not allowed. I don't know. Again, the way I would kind of feel it is, for example, over in China, many people are like, well, but that's absurd that people in China can't use this or that. But at the end of the day, a lot of Chinese people would just rather have it, for example, and are not really happy with all the rules that are being made, but they're all sort of victimized for any rule that's on top of them. And let's say I were to move to somewhere right now, or let's say I moved there a year ago, for example. Let's say a year ago I moved to Russia, right? I'm not sure exactly how these things work. Don't quote me on this. But I'm thinking, yeah, if all of a sudden, just because I live there right now, and maybe I've never been outside my freaking house, or I only go outside to the store and back in my home, all of a sudden I can't utilize crypto anymore just because I live in that specific kilometer. It's like, that's interesting, So that's why I'm thinking always, like, let these people just use. And I understand that sanctions might want to be put in place, but it's difficult for the crypto exchange to make that choice unless it is required by law, I would say. And so I respect whatever choice they make. Now, Matt Hamilton says, some news, I'm leaving Ripple. This is sad. What? Wow, yes. I know it's a bit of a shock. Tomorrow will be my last day, which was a couple days ago. Let me explain. So apparently, there was a couple things which were interesting. Matt was being really harassed significantly by the XR Doge community because he's a market maker. But he just kind of reiterates here he's not leaving because of that. He wanted to leave for a little while. He says there's some personal issues which, hey, we can all I guess, how can you say it? Give our prayers for, sort of. I hope it works out for him. But for sure, Matt has been one of the guys that's been just on Twitter all day, answering all the issues I could have thought of with the XRP ledger. So I'm not really sure we've been connected at all, like on a one-to-one basis. I know he's answered some of my tweets, but I haven't really spoke to him one-to-one. However, it's not necessarily sad to see him go because it's the logical way of the process, right? So it's not necessarily sad. But it is, I would say, sad to not have this knowledge base anymore to answer all these stupid questions within the XP community. Like, for example, people scouting out XP is centralized. He used to always be there to say, hold my microphone. So again, that's just something I really appreciated from him. So that will definitely be missed. There's also a full story about it. If you guys would like to see that, you can just check out his Twitter. And then this I just saw and it got me really interested. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So Stephen Huber shares it's true. The SEC destroyed some specific files. I'm lost for words. And I'm sorry, the US is lost. John says, this just goes to show you that serious changes must be made by Congress as it relates to the SEC. The SEC institutionally believes it is above the law and the rules don't apply to it. This is getting difficult here. It says SEC files were illegally destroyed by a lawyer. An enforcement lawyer at the SEC says that the agency illegally destroyed files and documents related to thousands of early-stage investigations over the last 20 years, according to information released Wednesday by congressional investigators. This could be fake, this could be real, I don't fully know. But this is interesting. And then again, this article is already 10 or 11 years old, by the way. It's just being brought up again. But it is interesting. This is actually really interesting. Then again, guys, I've already shouted it out a couple of times before. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the SEC. As I've stated before, I don't think they're doing a lot of things right. They are doing some things right, but the majority of it, they are not. And so I'm just watching from the sidelines, hoping eventually they'll come to their senses. But hey, it is what it is. Right now, all we can do is just accept it and kind of take it at the butt, whatever they're doing. Yes. And let's just hope they run out of steam, huh? I guess that's all we can do. Or that the judge kind of comes to their senses and says, yo, wait, hold up a minute. SEC, you've been shouting all this BS over me for like the last year and a half. Let's take a little bit of a break, you know. But maybe we shall see in the short term. Medium term, I would say. It's still going to take a couple of months, unless the judge comes to a conclusion earlier. But I don't think so. We'll have to wait for it. But I'm excited for it, okay? Because at the end of the day, remember, if XRP does whatever it's planned to do, or if the let me say it like this, if the lawsuit portrays or persuades, goes on in the way in which we expect it to be, it's going to be a very profitable and very exciting couple of months. And so I am all up for it. Having said that, that was it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. And I will definitely see you guys again in another crypto video later today.